Okay, this is a parent's perspective on my very rough paper template and slight digital. So this would be kind of loading page, and there'd be like it's written here in pen, just like maybe a read to me button, a read to myself. So there'll be a narrator function. There'll be other options for like maybe turning the sound off because it might be sound effects, things like that. So if you were to open it up, do you think that page is too busy, or think it'd be alright with just a few buttons? Might be up to four different options on the first page, but that might be too much. So how many options do you think would be appropriate on kind of the loading page, the first page you kind of see?
If it's a child that's not reading, you're going to have like an arrow that actually flashes so it attracts attention.
Yeah, well that's a good idea. I mean, some apps they have a kind of movement. It kind of moves. So it might be a button like this, and it might be kind of pulsating slightly or something. So it's obvious that you need to press one of those. So,
yeah.
You know, like read to me or read to myself. They're the two kind of main ones that tend to be there. And then there's ideas of maybe having the horse moving a bit or something in this, but there's no need for that. And then so if you press that, you go into it. So if you pretend you go press read to me, say, and that flicks into the actual book, and this text there will then start being narrated. Some of the kids seem to be quite excited about the idea of maybe pressing things. You might get the sounds coming up of maybe the dog barking, or
could you actually press it and have something come up that says post box?
Yeah, you could do anything like that. Yeah,
just so they get used to certain words like dog. You press it and the words dog come up.
Yeah, that could be more educational then. Yeah, for different things in the actual scene itself. Yeah, so it all depends if it might just get too busy if you do too much. It's kind of, but yeah, I mean certain quite standard things like postbox maybe could be quite a good idea. And something else was having maybe a dot or something flashing on the object or wherever you're going to press, so it's obvious where you're going to press. So if there's like a little blue dot or something going on.
Okay.
So yeah.
Turn the page?
Yeah. So turn, and then it's the next page. We're thinking maybe having a little bird in the bush that might maybe you maybe press there and then the bird song comes out or something like that. That's not finished. Chloe's going to redevelop that one.
So there's going to be something in the spaces.
Exactly. Yeah. It's because that was originally different. If you look in the book, see it kind of blends into another page.
Yeah.
So it's trying to, because it's when you see a book and then the iPad, it's obviously quite different. So you've got double page spread in the book, and iPad it's just one page at a time.
Yeah.
Getting rid of that page, I think. And these really on the iPad, you see that's quite small, isn't it? On the book, it kind of works quite well having those four, because it's obviously bigger. But here, it looks quite cramped. So maybe one of those coming in at a time, fading in then to the next one. So it kind of goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you were to have any movement in that, which one do you think you'd like to see movement, if any?
Or you could mix them up completely, and then they have to put them in the order of the person getting ready.
That could be to
leave the house.
We were thinking of on some children's books now. You have options of games afterwards as an extra add-on.
Yeah.
And you could have like a puzzle maybe like that where you mix them up. But yeah, you could. So you think maybe have those.
Yeah. So if it's reading to you, you can say which order these go in.
Yeah.
And then they can get used to pushing them into the.
Yeah, because you can move any of these around. We can, Well, that's an interesting idea.
Okay. Next one.
Yeah. And this one here, I've got a bit of basic movement as it might be.
Yeah.
Obviously dodgy arm and stuff, but
you think
get better.
The music, sort of big top music.
Music for this, we were thinking maybe fairground noise in the background just quietly.
Yeah.
The problem with music can be is it can detract from the story and annoy people quite easily. So it's trying to do things that maybe don't take over from the actual story itself.
Yeah.
Some apps seem to be very minimal on music, and some you can spend a long time and try and orchestrate them.
Yeah.
Do you think music may detract, or would it benefit having actual just background music throughout the story?
Something not overpowering, but something like just a gentle in the background.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to sort of emphasise the circus scene.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and throughout the whole bit you could have bits of music drifting in and out that suit the scene.
And again, you could you got the animals there, so you could press on the animals. And giraffe, elephant.
What noise would the giraffe make?
You actually want me to make a giraffe noise.
Okay, so yeah, we'll click on the next page. That's the only bit of movement I've got, but you can see how there could be more movement. Yeah, so again there we've got 2 pages, we'll separate those. With this Showtime one, we're thinking of having an accelerometer kind of thing, you know that, where you can rock, so you move the iPad and the stars would move.
Yeah.
And you can also swirl them around with your hand and stuff like that. Do you think that would be a bit over the top, or do you think
Well, no, you'd be teaching them to get used to iPads and touch technology, so...
Yeah.
We could actually have a clown juggling.
Yeah, yeah, one of these clowns could be juggling. And maybe if you press the clown, it can do something, tell a joke or laugh, do something silly.
Yeah.
But how much movement and interaction do you think would be appropriate on, because it's not too advanced in age range?
Can you put an age range, as in you can have like a basic for 3, and then as they get older you can progress up, or so you've got 2 different books?
Yeah, I mean that could be an idea where you have age. So if it's age 3 or just a bit older, it could be very basic, and then you can have an option to have it more extended, or you can have a light version and a full version that gives you more animated. So yeah, they're all options that we could add on. Might be
the same as you could number the balls if they touch them, or 1, 2, 3, 4, like a counting option.
Yeah.
How many balls are there, or?
Yeah, so with each scene you could see it as a separate little game or whatever, and there could be you could take it as far as you want with each page. If you're going to press on something, there'll be something to signify that, like a little flashing thing. Or
yeah. Sort of elephant noises and tiger noises and.
Yeah, I think Joanne said she'd like to see the tiger jump through the hoop.
Yeah.
If you have too much going on, it might take away from the story. If you have loads,
Yeah.
Because there's lots of different apps. Some of them they have very basic movement, like one dog's tail wagging kind of thing, or you have like everything going crazy and moving and moving.
Yeah.
But then that's lots more coding work as well.
Okay.
Okay. So this one, yeah, maybe accelerometer or something again, perhaps with the baby. He could be swinging the end of the end of the rope.
That could be a little bit clearer.
Down there, yeah. So
Just
that's
so
meant to be Pablo down there.
Yeah.
So that's illustrating. We want her to be a bit make the image a bit clearer.
Is it possible to do like where you can expand it on the page? So you can
possibly, yeah.
Perception.
You should be able to do that. That's something.
That's probably really complicated.
Yeah.
Do you want to put in a crowd that you can actually expand on the crowd?
That would be very awesome if you could zoom in on.
It's probably a lot of work, but like similar to Where's Wally, you could say who the crowd is eating candy floss.
Yeah.
And you could actually search
zoom
the
in.
crowd.
Yeah. I mean that's another really fun idea actually.
Kind of a Where's Wally sort of thing.
You can do that by loading in a picture in multiple little images, and then you have the ability to zoom in, with the fingers. So that is something that we could try and implement. And this one, I thought maybe have that light moving, like the searchlight.
Yeah. What, so that stays in the frame and you can just move the light around?
Maybe, yeah, again, it could be an interactive thing or just something that happens.
Or you can have little hidden pictures so that as you move the light around you can also
so maybe
see things that weren't there originally.
Yeah, that could be another really fun way. And maybe the hat falls off and moves. Ben wanted the hat to fly around.
Okay.
He seemed quite keen on all that.
Yeah.
And then obviously it becomes obvious he's a unicorn.
Yeah.
He's very bright.
That kind of blends in a bit in the book.
Yeah, so you'd like that to be clear or rework the image basically. I think Chloe was thinking about reworking this whole page maybe.
Yeah.
It's clearer there, but I think she's just she's redone it for the iPad.
Yeah.
More basic. What would you change then?
So the colour in the book, just so, because at the moment it just blends in.
It's kind of red on red, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think about maybe having some speech bubbles or something when the characters talk to one another.
Yeah.
I was trying to describe that to Ben and Riley, but they didn't quite comprehend it. I was trying to describe Tintin.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that would work or whether it should just be the writing that comes in and out and the option of, you know, the text can appear and then disappear with tabs. Like the functionality of being able to highlight move the text in or out as required.
Like say with kids, they might not get that. They might think, oh, 3 kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Not 1.
Obviously, in a book, you know, you kind of have to do something like that to show.
Yeah.
But
Put on some sort of falling lines or.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'd like to see that as one continuous movement of just a singular baby kind of falling.
Yeah.
Make more sense there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
What about if you were in his force field, you could just actually move him.
Yeah, you could touch the baby, and move, just swirl him around.
You can have him floating around in the force field.
Yeah. Oh, I mean the whole thing could move.
Yeah.
Right.
Mine's do.
So yeah, so it's not just on his horn, but it kind of goes around the whole page.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. And then yeah, crazy trampoline. See if we can maybe get them bouncing up and down or something.
Yeah.
And we're pretty much there. It's kind of party scene.
Can you change like the angle as well?
Yeah,
So
Chloe.
if you tip it, it's like a bit more 3-dimensional. So you could you could see him more clearly.
So would you like the whole book in 3D?
Just annoy you, yeah.
If Chloe had to do that, she'd have to change her whole thing to make it that 3D. You have to then layer textures over a 3D kind of object.
It's alright, it's doable.
It's doable. You'd have to get into. I think it's a program called May. You can do that with. But that would involve taking every single character.
Yeah.
And developing them. It would take 6 months. But that's something for the future.
Started then.
You know, there are some apps like Cinderella and stuff where they've done a kind of semi 3D look.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But yeah, I think it's something maybe we could work towards for the future. But for this one, it might be very. We could maybe try it with one scene though. That could be really cool. We could get this one trampoline scene. So you mean like where you kind of you're coming at an angle and then.
Yeah. So if you tilt it up, you can actually sort of start to get a bit of depth from bouncing.
Yeah. There might be a way of doing that with a clever camera kind of angle on my thing, maybe.
Or you could cheat so they get bigger, they take up the whole screen and they get smaller as they hit the...
Oh yeah, that's kind of what we were going to do. I could do that, make those two kind of look like they're bouncing, and then the image would depress when you land on it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they just talk to each other, so it's whether we have speech bubbles or something on this last one. And then it's party scene. Kind of at the end. Maybe all that confetti and everything can be swirling around and falling.
Can you have like little confetti cannons so you touch them, they go...
Yeah, we could do that, yeah. A confetti cannon, I like that.
Yeah, you just press each side and it just kind of fires off random confetti and streamers.
Yeah, because I could add that into an array list and generate random bits of confetti that just shoot out here. And then they swirl around.
That also looks like the unicorn's being decapitated by an axe.
I think that's what Chloe's going for, actually.
Bludgeoned horse.
Yeah.
Nice.
New act, the bludgeoned horse.
Yeah, it gets a bit sadistic in the next book.
Or goes the darker side.